Zelda Informer Podcast. Bum 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 bum.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Zelda Informer Podcast. That opening was brought to you by Brandon and Company, and this week's closing theme, as always, is brought to you by Jeesh. It's the Hero of Time remix. You can find it down below, as well as information on who did our cover banner for this week, probably me, in our article write-up on zeldainformer.com. But first, before we talk about anything more, let's get into the news breakdown for this week. This week, are the rumors circulating of PS4 compatibility true? Have 10%...
It's no! It's not true.
Back to you, Adam.
Have 10% of players been stuck in Vault 111 in Fallout 4? And could Minecraft help teach you computer science? All of these questions and no more answered after this sentence. No, yes, and who cares? This is the ZI Podcast. Once again, my name is Adam, and this week I'm happily joined by the very angry...
I'm not that angry, so I mean, and I'm usually the first one, Adam, so joke's on you. Hey, what's up, guys?
Well, you seemed very angry that I would assume that you're angry, so I guess it's kind of a win.
I guess, kind of, maybe for you.
And then the next, 45 minutes are just, silence, really
silence,
uncomfortable.
Humbleness, or...
Oh, no, I thought, like angry tension, just like...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, what? Shut up, man, shut up. Okay?
Just be quiet, Adam.
Okay.
Just quiet. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your wonderful boy Chris here. Still playing, still being, and still doing the Fallouts.
Oh, that, said Mr. Mitchell carelessly. I've read that. Merely is a sensational lie, worked off upon a gullible public.
Stop it, Colin. Colin decides to tell me before the podcast of his great idea for an episode where instead of doing about an hour of I'll just let you tell it.
Okay, well, sometimes when we're recording, what you don't realize when you finish hearing these podcasts is that we're not just 100% perfect. I mean, I am. These three other
Calm
assholes
down.
aren't.
Get out of here.
But we have to edit a lot down. Some of it is dead air of trying to segue into topics that we're just unsure of what the next topic would be.
Hey, don't reveal our secrets.
Oof. So I decided that I'll try something different. Every time there's a little bit of dead air and we don't know where to go to next, I'm just going to open up my big, thick book of the best American mystery stories of the 19th century, and I'm just going to start reading off of a random page.
Mine was just screaming Zelda fan fiction, like really, really dirty Zelda fan fiction.
Well, next week we'll do Walking Dead fanfics.
Okay, cool. I'm down with this idea. Let's do it. In the spirit of
Here we go.
Thanksgiving. And last but not least... Thank you, Jeff. So anyway, guys, what have you guys been playing?
I do not wonder, I rejoined. The crime which took place next door is almost forgotten by the community, and even if it were not.
So what have you guys been playing this past week?
Can I
What?
read? Hey guys,
Is that it? Is that all you got?
I'm back. I listened to last week's episode and decided I should come back and fix it. So here I am.
By making the worst introduction of all time?
By just not showing up. I guess he's
for
right.
My opportunity.
The opportunity
We
was...
literally introduced you, buddy.
The opportunity was there. Seize
Yeah,
the day.
It's like It's like arriving fashionably late. Where is he? I don't know. I thought he was here. Oh, hey guys, I was right here. Hi, how you doing?
Can you
How's it going?
Can you imagine if fashionably late applied to just every aspect of your life?
It does.
I'll let... Well, alright then. So what have you guys been playing this past week?
Fallout 4. Honestly, I don't think I've gotten off of it since I got it.
You and all of my roommates and neighbors.
I'm sorry, it's just if I'm not at school or if I'm not at work, and then I'm at home playing Fallout. And I'm doing the podcast right now, so I'm not playing Fallout. I should be done with the main campaign by Friday, and then I'm gonna try to 100% the game by next week, Tuesday, because I know next week's gonna be hectic with all this other stuff. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I played something truly terrible. It was called Spelunker World on the PS4. Now, for context, I love the hell out of the game Spelunker. Spelunker is, by the way, a really great mining sort of. It's kind of like Pitfall, but a lot more extreme, and it's on the NES, and it's great, and you should play it. It's on the Virtual Console. There's a great updated version on the PS3 called Spelunker HD. It's great. Go get that. It's got split screen co-op, which is always fun. But there's this new one that's free to play, and there's always been jokes on the internet of, oh, what if old Nintendo games were free to play with microtransactions? And this game actually answers that question. It's gross. It's a typical NES side scroller, but you got your microtransactions. You gotta pay up for gems if you run out of lives, you gotta pay up to get more lives. And it's even got skins that give you stat boosts that you have to grind for. You know, all the terrible things that come to free-to-play games. So, that was the worst. Other than that, haven't been playing much because my workload increased.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have because we're nearing the end of the college semester, I'm getting a bunch of assignments in now, and I'm just procrastinating them because I'm lazy. And also, because I had the awesome opportunity, because my neighbor's great, to play Fallout 4 for 5 hours. And it's everything I wanted in a Fallout sequel. Like, everything I wanted is there. Except maybe dialogue stuff. That's my only gripe, but I'm so addicted to the gameplay.
Someone released a mod, I think today or maybe yesterday, that replaces all of the dialogue options with the actual lines that the character is saying. So it's not just yes,
Honestly,
no.
I'm against that.
Why?
Why?
Because then there's no surprise to the voice acting in the game. Then there's no point of voice acting in the game in general.
Well,
But like
they did that same thing kind of in Mass Effect, or at least
Well,
they hinted at it.
no,
I was okay
I
with
mean,
it in Mass Effect. In Mass Effect, it had
That's
the same...
how Fallout games have worked up to
Yeah,
this point.
actually, in Fallout games, they would like say the line, and they'd have the thing at the end that says like persuade or security.
No, I understand that, and I respect that. But like, for me, I never finished Fallout 3 or New Vegas or any of the other games. Don't crucify me for this. I came into Fallout 4, and I like Fallout 4 a lot more than I liked New Vegas or Fallout 3, just because, like, you know, voice acting has always kind of been like in pretty much all the games I've played, you know,
I
there's always
think-
been voice acting.
I don't think that just because you can read what they're going to say beforehand, it's going to take anything out of the voice acting, because the voice acting is phenomenal. Like, the actors
it's a
did a
good job,
really
but, you know,
great job, and I think that reading it a lot, like, for me, like, I used to have this thing where I couldn't watch movies without subtitles. I had a hard time.
turn on the subtitles on the game.
Right, but I mean the same thing. I think of it in the same way, where if I'm reading it, it helps me comprehend it a little bit better, and it doesn't take away from the experience. I know for some people that like subtitles in a movie really ruins the experience for them, ruins the cinematic feel. But for me, I never minded it. So I think that I like this mod, or the idea of this mod.
I mean,
so.
I'm not saying the mod's opposed. I'm sure a lot of people love this mod, so it gives them some sort
Right,
of clarity.
right.
Because I understand there's a lot of confusion with this.
Because
For me
it's very
personally,
simple
yeah.
with like the yes, no, sarcasm, that sort of thing. But I see where you're coming from. It's
But
like
it's not even as basic as yes and no. Like, the only one I will say that they are at fault at was the sarcastic thing, because that's honestly a wild card for any of them.
Mhm.
But some of the other answers, it sort of is as basic as yes and no. Like,
Right.
a friend told me he had an experience where, you know, one of the words choices that he had was violence in the conversation, and so, you know, he assumed that meant he was going to talk about violence and not take out his gun and shoot someone. In which he actually took out his gun and shot someone, which he didn't want to do at all.
that's poor design. That's poor indication.
But I mean, like, when I see that thing, the first thing that thinks in my head is like, oh, that's probably I'm going to shoot someone. You know, I guess some people can figure it out. Some people can't.
There's two ways. A lot of other Fallout games, and I've seen this in, like you said, Mass Effect, where like usually the thing in parentheses or some indication on the sides of whatever word it is will describe it as an action as opposed to something that's being said.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he missed the indicator. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and said that it was just poorly formatted, so they forgot to put this.
I mean, I understand what the thing that people like
Right.
have, like the
Right.
gripe they have against Bethesda for this.
I'm saying that But I do see where you're coming from with this. That it does kind of like take away from that sort of interesting, like it's not just about getting those options exactly right. It's about experiencing the moments that you're creating by feeling a certain way or agreeing with the character in a certain way. Like you're guiding them and they're fully fleshing out the idea.
Yeah. But
And there's a beauty to that.
To be honest, I will say this is probably the least Fallout out of most of the Fallout games,
Mm-hmm.
just because of like this added things like that. Maybe that's why I find it so attractive. This game more reminds me more of like a game like Far Cry rather than a Fallout game.
I think it's a good
I mean,
in a good way.
It has a lot of Fallout stuff. Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad.
Because Skyrim was the same way. It was the least Elder Scrolls game of the Elder Scrolls series, but it kind of didn't work in its favor.
I mean,
it left a bad taste in your mouth.
It's slimlined. It's
I think they were trying to
down,
open
it's
up.
streamlined. It's casualized.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to open up to
But
like
made for
the more
marketing.
modern gamer.
Mm-hmm. But I spent Fallout 4 just exploring. I spent a good hour just exploring the game and really having fun with it, diverting away from the main quest line and actually being invested in the things that they were showing me off on the sides. Unlike in Skyrim, where I did the main quest and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, because I didn't care.
I got the achievement for discovering 100 locations and it gave me a 40 gamer score. I was
Like,
F yeah.
When I first found the first crafting station in Fallout 4, I'm not going to put any spoils in this, by the way, but you have your gun, basic pistol or whatever, and it shows you a list of modifications you can make to it, because weapon modding is a thing in this game. Make custom items. And I was immediately interested in a few mods. And because the game is formatted so well, I could already start building these things. So instead of continuing on and doing literally the second objective in the main quest line, I decided to spend an hour and look for these materials and build myself this gun that I really wanted. And I had so much fun doing it. I had so much fun looking for the materials. I had so much fun exploring. I found this cool cave that I heard from this note where these guys stored some extra gear. It was all really interesting. It's all set up in such a profoundly clever way. Like, there's so much effort done to this, and it doesn't feel like I'm reading novels like I did in Skyrim. It feels like, there's a little piece of information, there's a thing I get to go do.
Yeah.
And by remembering these small little pieces of information, I discover new things, as opposed to reading pages upon pages of filler information in Skyrim and being bored out of my mind. But that's not the only game I played this week. The other one, did you want to talk more about Fallout 4?
No, it's just all I wanted to say about it.
Okay. The other.
Let's not.
What?
Let's not.
Okay.
I think we've said our.
Okay.
I think we said enough on Fallout.
Okay, cool. Because I wanted to switch gears to the other thing I played this week. I got to play, because I've had it in my Steam library for a while, but I never got the chance to play it. South Park: The Stick of Truth. It's very interesting 2 RPGs to play in the same week, and oh my god, it's so good.
I mean, speaking of Obsidian, because we were just talking about
Right.
Fallout, it's amazing. Obsidian is a company that has always made really, really shoddy products, whether they're unfinished or just super buggy.
Mhm.
Like KOTOR 2, they didn't even finish the game.
Yeah, it took years and
Alpha
years.
Protocol took years to make.
Mhm.
And ended up being a mess. New Vegas, even though most people say it's the best Fallout game,
It's still not
still
perfect.
There's still some pretty horrible bad design.
There's still a reason
design
why I
choices in it.
prefer Fallout 3 over New Vegas.
And there's also Dungeon Siege 3, which is just a total piece of crap. And I've always joked
Mhm.
that it took Obsidian to make a game literally out of construction paper to finally get it right.
And it's
that's South Park.
amazing how well they did this game.
Yeah.
This is, in no way would they ever be ashamed that South Park: The Stick of Truth is their best game to date, because it's so well made. It shows off the best of their company in every it shows creativity, it shows humor, it shows passion, it shows smartly designed combat. Everything about the game is so good, and I've only played 2 hours, and I wish I was playing it right now. Colin was like, "Hey, we have to start the podcast. Can you get off the game?" And I'm like, "Okay, Mom."
There is another game they did through Kickstarter, Pillars of Eternity.
I remember
And that
hearing
one's-
about that.
I've heard that's pretty.
Was that the one that was supposed to be like Neverwinter Nights? or am I thinking something else?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I just know that it's a game that has been released. It was backed through Kickstarter, and it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be more Baldur's
Yeah,
Gate.
Baldur's Gate. That's the one. Yeah, people were recommending Pillars of Eternity to me for a while because I'm interested in that sort of style. It's still like $50 on Steam though. So not something I can really afford to get. But yeah, it got crazy reviews across the board. So anyway, if you haven't played South Park Stick of Truth or Fallout 4, play them. They're really good. And by the way, because it's a class in South Park, the Stick of Truth, I decided to play as the Jew class. Because
of course.
I wonder
Of course.
why.
Because no, listen, you get like
You get just a yes.
you get the outfit and everything, and also Cartman's like the noble warrior, the brilliant mage, the sneaky clever thief, or he could be a Jew, and we don't get to be friends anymore.
Well, it's funny because the Jew is also like the best class in the game.
I didn't know that.
It's got some pretty damn good, like, well-rounded stats.
You get the shepherd's cane and like the sling of David. Everything is like so funny and catered. I spent 30 minutes just exploring people's houses, and there was so much content just from doing that. I was rewarded as a player for being interested in everything.
That game is super raunchy too.
But it's so well done. Like it's
even by South Park standards. Like I really hate when like a primetime cartoon like Simpsons or Family Guy is like, oh, we're gonna make the unrated, uncensored DVD, and it's just them saying like an extra swear word or two.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
like
too
thrown into an
interesting.
episode. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's like literally nothing. But this game like actually takes South Park to a whole nother
in
level.
a good way. It doesn't like it's not trying to flaunt it. It's not. It's like this is just the thing that we want to make. This, and we're not going to restrict ourselves for a rating reason. We're just going to make it and let it flourish. Everything feels cool, from the fake Facebook thing to like the inventory system to like modifying weapons and things. I got myself like a Jewish beard within like 20 minutes. So like,
you got yourself a Jewish beard.
Yeah, it's the wizard beard, but it like you get the full rabbi beard effect. Anyway,
I know you like that, Adam.
I do. I really do. One other thing I wanted to mention that I found this week. There's a pigeon movie database that just details.
You posted this in the topics. I didn't see this. What is this?
It's a website that points out pigeons in every movie.
Actually, you know what? No, I actually did play a game, and another game this week, and I had completely forgotten about it. I played. It's in early access.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Layers of Fear.
Oh, Layers of Fear Chris was talking about this a few weeks ago.
That game is hilarious. How is that scary in any way?
Well, I mean, I thought it looked like crazy
it's the
good.
Funniest thing I've ever played.
Is it funny? I don't know.
There's a level where all it is just like babies and parts of like baby dolls floating around, and my friend and I were laughing through the whole thing.
Dang.
There's one point where you open a door and there's just a giant baby doll head, and then the door slams, and we thought it was really funny because babies are the most hilarious thing to have ever happened to humanity.
Babies.
They're like little tiny, like chubby human beings that can't like walk. They can just kind of like they just kind of like wiggle and make sounds.
You heard it here first, folks. Colin thinks that babies are funny.
Babies are hilarious. Are you kidding me?
That's going to be your description this week.
Babies.
Haven't you ever seen a baby? It's the funniest thing.
This is the miracle of childbirth.
I usually don't like babies. I like video games.
You heard it here, folks. Adam hates babies.
This reminds me of the 2012 election. Actually, not 2012. It was like 2008.
How?
There was a website called ObamaEatsBabies.com. I think that website still exists.
What was this website about?
It was like it was Sarah Palin throwing like JPEG ass. It was Sarah Palin throwing JPEG babies into Obama's mouth, and like he would make funny noises. He'd be like,
You heard it
"Yummy!"
here, folks. Chris looks at JPEGs of Sarah Palin's ass.
No, it was like JPEG Sarah
he's the
Palin
next
throwing
Slim
JPEG
Shady.
baby.
Anyway, let's
into...
get into the fan topics from this week because this is going to a
Yay.
weird place.
This is fan topic
Yay,
week
fan
because
topics.
last
There's
week
so
was
many
not,
fan topics.
so-
I resisted the urge to make it purely fan topics, but
Hey, Adam, I have a question for you.
let's start from the top
Wait,
and work our way
I have
down.
a question for you.
I have a question.
Adam, what if a fan wanted to send in a fan topic? Where could they do that?
Oh, they had just easily send it to zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com. You could also tweet it at us. Check out our Twitters down below to find that out. If you don't know what I mean by down below because you're listening on an app, go to zeldainformer.com and look up podcast episode 63. It'll be right there.
And Adam, could you repeat that 2 more times?
Which thing? The whole thing?
That's
The-
zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. Look at that.
zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com.
If you have any
Beautiful.
art fan topic submissions or theme song submissions, send them to zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you.
And if you want a fun treat, email papajohns@gmail.com.
I don't think that's a real Gmail. I don't
It
think.
probably is.
I think it's
Yeah.
at Papa John at
It
papajohn.com.
might be the Papa's email.
Yeah, it
Papa's
just
in the
is
house.
his email.
Yeah, he wants a
Get a
couple of
couple-
sody pops.
Get a couple of sody pops. Yeah.
Give me some sody pops.
Oh boy.
But our first fan.
in
Speaking
the
of soda
house.
pops, speaking of soda pops and things, I've been playing a different game this week, and by playing I mean I played it twice.
You mean Undertale?
Not Undertale.
That's
I'm glad you
strange.
I mean, I
chimed
want
in.
to talk about Undertale, but
I feel like you always
won't
want to
right
talk
now.
about Undertale every time we
I
get you.
always want to talk about Undertale. There's never a bad
That game
time.
is only 6 hours
Um,
long, not even.
Chris, I will hunt you down.
Do it.
Um,
You know where I live. Do it.
I know where you live.
And he'll be there
Um,
next
but
week.
anyway, I will. I played Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
Oh, how is it?
So Mario
And
Party
I have
X
some-
animals.
I have some interesting thoughts on that game. I still have to play more, but I have some interesting thoughts. Do you want me to share them now, or
Yeah, go for it.
No, we want you to
Okay.
mention it now and share it like 2 days from now.
That's exactly what Adam does. But anyway, so Amiibo Festival. I have an Amiibo problem, and I have a lot. But my girlfriend enabled me by saying, "Wow, this game looks cute," and that immediately, I heard that and interpreted that as you have my blessing to buy the Animal Crossing Amiibo and this game, and so I did that.
Good man.
Good. So I started playing the game, and it opens up, and the first thing it tells you to do is tap an amiibo on. And I was like, okay, well, it comes with 2 amiibo, so it makes sense. You have to be able to use it.
Who's
So I did that.
Who's the one Animal Crossing amiibo that everyone wants? It's like an actual character from Animal Crossing. What's her name? Like Mabel? Something, not Mabel.
Isabel?
Isabel.
Mabel?
I was thinking.
Isabel's the one that comes with the game.
Oh, okay. Isabel.
Oh, Gravity Fall Amiibo's one.
No,
Okay,
I was
for the
thinking
Mabel
Gravity
amiibo.
Falls, but I meant to think Amiibo. Continue.
Mabel.
Continue. You can go.
Anyway, there's an Animal Crossing character named Mabel. So we started playing. I started playing it, and then we had multiple people there, so we ended up playing 4 players. And I was like, I wonder how similar this is to Mario Party. And it turns out, yes and no.
Define
Although
yes
I guess it's
and
not an
no.
answer to similar.
I've heard that it's.
Well, we started playing, and we each pick a character, and you have to tap the amiibo on to like select the character. So you can't play as the characters unless you have the amiibo on hand, which was kind of strange. But I was like, well, I own them, so whatever. So we started playing, and I was like, I wonder how this turn thing is going to work. The only controller they've given me is the gamepad. Do we use anything else? It's like, nope. You have to pass the gamepad around as you play, from player to player, each turn. Which isn't that unusual. It's kind of quirky, but hey, the gamepad is quirky. The other thing that caught me off guard, although I guess I should have expected it, was literally for every turn, in order to roll the dice for your character, you have to use the amiibo you're playing as. And once I realized that, I just like sat back and was like, this is literally a board game.
Well, I mean,
we have our pieces.
Mario Party's
We
also
can't
a
play
board game.
without it. I know, but it like takes it to a whole new level. You literally have to have these physical pieces that you tap on the gamepad to have move around a virtual board.
So what you're saying is someone
And
could make a physical version of this game and get rid of the Wii U aspect entirely.
I mean, if you'd have to have a little speaker box that played the Animal Crossing jargon
I'm sorry?
every so
In
often.
English, please?
That's the Animal Crossing jargon.
He is actually saying, "Have you seen the weather today? It's absolutely gorgeous. High sky,
Yeah.
Have you seen the weather today? It's absolutely
Now-
highs in the
gorgeous.
80s
Now, I
and
will-
lows in the 30s. It's a very
That's not to say
horrifying day because of the weather shift, but it's gorgeous out, and I can trust you. Perfect day for the beach."
Yeah, that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I mean, it's really cute. You land on platforms like good or bad ones that say like, you did this today. Like mine, I remember one was like, you found a note that you wrote to yourself 3 years ago, complimenting yourself. You feel great, and I was like, I do feel great. Um, there was another one that was like, you watched the shooting stars, but you hurt your neck from looking up so long, and it made you sad. Um, so it's all these weird, quirky things that happen to you on your day. And then there's like little events that happen too, and change the gameplay a little bit. But the thing that like I just that we couldn't get past was there's no mini games in the actual course of the board game.
Really?
So
So
it's you just keep circulating the turns. Now they're interrupted by events every so often, like the person who's the host of the game will sometimes say like, "Hey, the game's whatever," or a new character will come on and say like, "Hey, this event is happening."
Or
because
someone
I'm
will
here
get
and I'm
frustrated and just turn off the Wii U.
Or someone gets frustrated and turns off the Wii U. Yeah, it's cute. It's neat. It's enabling my addiction to Amiibo, and yeah. I don't think Nintendo's looking too hot in the eyes of people who like games that are worth $60. With the release of that last week and Mario Tennis, which has gotten some scathing reviews
Really?
this week. Oh yeah, it's been pretty bad. I mean, basically what I've seen, the consensus seems to be, it's Mario Tennis.
I mean, are you sure you
That's
haven't
it.
just been reading the BitBlocks tweets?
Oh my god.
Well, there's wait, what is the BitBlock, Matt, about? Which one?
Everything, but specifically Mario Tennis and how Mario Tennis is a.
But Mario,
This is weird. I've been noticing this.
but Mario Tennis looks great.
You know, I have never seen so much like hate for a Nintendo title than Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
I beg to
Like,
differ. There's something called Federation Force that hasn't been released yet.
Did anybody else, was I the only one who like realized like 2 days ago, like I'm finally off the Nintendo Direct high from last week, and I go, they didn't talk about Federation Force. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
You were surprised by that? I don't think they'll ever mention.
No, I said I'm not surprised.
What if
but I just realized it.
Okay.
We just they can't cancel that game for.
They're not going to cancel it. They're just probably
They
not going to talk
can't,
about it.
But man,
They're just going to like quietly release it, not talk about it, and then let Metroid die. Because
That would suck though.
But man,
but-
the backlash for Mario Tennis has been like huge over
Yeah.
something that's
literally tennis.
Mario playing
Yeah.
tennis. Like
Well, I
I've
think
seen,
when it
I've
comes
seen
when
the
it comes from
craziest complaints. I've seen people be like, "Oh, well, the cover is too vague," and it's like it's Mario with his buddies. They're
well,
on a tennis
those are
court,
certainly
they're
those are certainly a
playing
little
tennis.
far. But from what I've seen, the majority of the complaints seem to be just sort of put at, this is another Mario Tennis game that takes away what made some aspects of the older Mario Tennis fun. Doesn't really add that much besides for like it looks better.
Is what? I mean, I imagine it probably plays the same as any other gosh darn Mario Tennis game. So what's different?
What's different from the old ones?
Yeah, what makes this Mario Tennis not as good as previous Mario Tennis games?
From what I've seen, keep in mind I've only played it briefly at E3.
yeah, me too.
It's the low amount of characters, which is also kind of a moot point because the characters all play the same. So it's just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't really do you any favors either way.
hmm
The lack of modes, there's like one minigame mode that's not that great from what I hear. There's no campaign mode. There's not really much in the way of unlockables.
It's
There's one other thing,
tennis.
too.
It's literally just
yeah,
tennis.
this is like
No,
the
it is
thing
tennis.
I'm
and that's
trying
what
It
you
is
buy.
tennis.
And that's
to
what you
get
buy it
to.
for.
Right, but here's the thing.
It costs $60 bucks.
Is it worth buying a tennis game for $60 when you've had Wii Sports for years?
No, also has anyone in the history of ever actually purchased Mario Tennis for full price or any price at all?
You just kind of buy it.
Yes. Yes, they have.
Who?
The people.
These people need to be rounded up and given a better game. Like what?
Hey, that's
The
not
Mario
saying.
Tennis?
Hey, Mario Tennis isn't a bad.
These
party
people
game.
should be
It is a
checked.
Good party game. Like
I mean, it's not a. It's certainly.
Guys,
It's certainly not.
the year of Luigi killed Nintendo because Mario Tennis is not up to par with previous Mario Tennis games.
God, the world's going to end. Colin, you and I have to escape like now.
I mean, come on. To be honest, we already knew going in that Nintendo's holiday season is not strong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very excited for Xenoblade Chronicles X, especially since I realized that you can make
It's still
main
better
character in
than
the
what's
show.
on the other systems, which is giving us, let's see, what's on the PS4? Oh yeah, nothing. And on the Xbone, oh yeah, nothing.
Well, I mean, they have releases that that aren't even on the Nintendo system.
Well,
There
I'm
is
talking about the multi-platform releases that are on every system except for the Nintendo
I mean,
system.
there's Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne has the Game
that
of the Year
came out
edition.
earlier this year.
Yeah, but they have their
we might as
DLC
well not even
coming
June
out
at that
this
point.
holiday season.
Their
Like now.
DLC is coming
Tomb
out.
Raider's coming out for Xbox One.
Yeah, no one
but it's
bought
a
it.
temp exclusive.
Nobody bought it because it came out on the same day as Fallout, which was the
Exactly.
mistake.
Which sucks because I actually like the last Tomb Raider game. So I
I
was
got it for free on the Xbone.
really.
Yeah, it was on Games for Gold. You got the definitive
Yeah, it
edition.
was.
It's really good. I think I got it
It's
for like
It
five.
is not bad.
I got it for
I'll
like
say
$5 on Steam. Like all the stuff, and I thought
Oh,
it was
dude, I got
good
it in a
deal.
Humble Bundle on Steam. It was great.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but the fact that like the couple like last few months and what we got coming up has given us Mario Maker, Fatal Frame,
Mario Maker
and
with
Mario
huge
Xenoblade.
Maker
updates.
is even Mario
Yeah.
Maker isn't even like I got it like a
There's-
few weeks ago and it's pretty entertaining.
Mario
That's
Maker.
what, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying the fact that we got those is already like pretty damn good.
Between Mario Maker, Super Smash Bros. 4, and Splatoon, there are some games that
Yeah.
Nintendo has been putting out some serious updates for, just
Honestly,
consistently. Splatoon
I hate
alone
having
is
to,
an
like-
absurd amount of updates. Just
Well,
constantly
it's like every
throwing
week.
more things at it for free.
But honestly, like I just hate having to compare Nintendo with other companies because I feel like Nintendo's in its own special kind of place right now where they're still trying to figure out some things, and I don't feel like it's fair to put them against.
Can I throw something out here that was part of a discussion we had over at Amnesia? I'm just kind of curious about your guys' perspective.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
We often have discussions. We have, we're not purely Nintendo, but we have a very large Nintendo fan base, so it's a lot of Nintendo talk. We have come across the discussion of like how Nintendo prices their games and some of the things that Nintendo does. For example, the pricing of Smash DLC has come up multiple times. Although I've had some interesting discussions with a friend of mine who's a game designer, and he has some really good points about that. But the thing that's come up most recently is the fact that Pokemon Red, Yellow, and Blue are going to be priced at $10 a piece on the eShop. And just the idea of, are they really worth it? I mean, if it weren't Nintendo and Nintendo games, would someone be able to get away with releasing a 20 years now?
Yeah, just about 20
Yeah.
years.
20-year-old title?
For $10? No, it seems I think
it's pricey, but I mean, like,
I mean,
When I saw the release, I was thinking like 6.
Yeah.
That's the usual kind of
yeah,
thing. For that kind of
especially for like how it's a well-designed game, but people can make the same thing in RPG Maker now, and they'll only charge $1 for it. Like I don't think it's worth $10 for a digital copy of a game that most people, if they actually wanted it, they already own physically.
well, I mean, now it's about ease of access when trying to play it because not a lot of people have Game Boy Colors, so like they might have their cartridges and stuff like that.
Here's what I say.
Not even just Game Boy Colors, but like Game Boy Advance and Advance SPs and stuff like that.
In terms of the Virtual Console games, I've learned that I have noticed that Nintendo actually tends to price games that are going to be more popular higher than other games. We first saw this with Earthbound, which
And that's
costs
the
more.
that's the other thing that I'm thinking. That's the opposite side though of what we were just talking about. Mario Tennis being priced at $60.
I think
Yeah.
they need to price it that high to stay in the market in a way. They need.
Well,
But
that's a
Yoshi's
little
Woolly
weird
World
that-
released for $50, and so
Yeah.
did Kirby.
And
Kirby was 40.
Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker was 40.
Yeah, that was 40. I remember
And
that.
Donkey
So
Kong
it's-
was 50. So they're clearly aware that they're willing to price these games down, and it just kind of makes me wonder what's like going on internally. Is it just a development
I mean,
team
maybe
thing?
they realize that only like dolts that buy Mario Tennis are the ones that are also complaining about it, so they'll just buy it at 60 anyway.
I'm trying to see like where are people buying these things from?
What things from?
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash,
Walmart?
From game stores?
Yeah.
and it's priced at 60.
It's priced at 60 pretty. That's the standard price. I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure
I'm
putting it on sale.
I'm looking at it everywhere. I see 50.
Oh well, it's
Do you?
still
Yeah,
it's
like
still
Target's
$50.
50. Well, I mean, it's like Yoshi's Woolly World and stuff like that. I just feel like the general price for games is in that range, and whether it's 40 or 60, I mean, yeah, I guess $20 difference really it sort of matters. But I feel like it shouldn't be a surprise to people.
For me,
I feel like $30 is maybe it should be a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, it's cheap. But like anywhere between 40
I mean,
and 60,
that's why
I
I
think it
feel
should be
like
fine.
Twilight.
I think if it was 40
I mean,
or
that's why I feel
30,
like Twilight Princess HD is okay where it is.
What is that going to be priced at?
Mostly because it comes with the amiibo, so it's kind of like okay, it's like a $45 game with an amiibo.
I mean it's
Adam, what were you saying for you? What was
I was gonna say that Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, for what it is, I don't think people would have had as much of an issue with it if it was $40 or $30. I think 40 is a more reasonable number that they would have actually priced it at. Hopefully it'll help them influence further pricing decisions. But anyway, let's get into this week's fan topics because we said we were going to do that about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, let's
Oh, yeah.
actually do that. Instead of talking about
This first one
Goddamn
comes
Mario
from
Tennis.
Brandon. Hey Adam, I have a question for the podcast team. How do you feel about different Zelda games having completely separate development teams? I understand it allows production to simultaneously continue on games like Zelda, Wii U, and Triforce Heroes, but I can't help but feel a little bothered by the fact that all hands aren't on deck for the console game. Wouldn't it be better to have a little less separation between the dev teams? It might even make the games better if there were more integration and overlapping of the teams. Sorry for the lengthy question. Keep up the good work. Brandon from Tacoma. Thank you so much, Brandon. Brandon from Tacoma is actually the guy who writes our podcast theme. So thanks again for all the hard work.
Honestly, he's not wrong. I would prefer all of them to have the bigger console games to have all hands on deck.
I mean, I think you're thinking of it like they're dividing a single team into separate groups instead of.
I think they had a big team.
the way this is being asked is as if both games are being developed by like Nintendo R&D 1, and they're just going like, all right, you four work on this 3DS game, and you four work on this Wii U
Which
game.
I mean, it's not.
And don't talk
You're
to
not
each other.
like. You're not wrong for assuming that because we don't really know how they do things in that company, but it's not. I
I
would
feel like most of
imagine
the
that it's
R&D
not exactly the practice, especially because the way Nintendo.
I assume
Ni-
the people that are working on Triforce Heroes are ones that really only know about how to make a game for the 3DS, and I imagine the people that are working on the Wii
Right.
U are the ones that only know how to work
I
on
think-
the Wii U, and that they're separate teams because
I
that's
think
what their
that
job
we
is.
have this false perception of game studios because of companies like Atlas and because of Sonic Team from Sega, where it's like literally a team is set up to make a certain thing, or certain series. That's their series, like all of them. I mean, Aonuma is the director for Zelda games, but the people that the mini-me's or the minions that he has working on these games often different with each project. There's a few people that stay consistent throughout, but those people are usually recognizable, like Koji Kondo is a recognizable
Yeah,
name.
they're like more like
Um,
producers and things like that
right.
within the games.
You might
And
have a
then-
lead developer, a lead designer, or lead programmers that'll stay consistent because they have experience, but other than that, everyone else is probably going to be someone new.
I honestly feel like what
The
happens.
people
in
that
these,
worked
like,
on Triforce, A Link Between Worlds, probably didn't work on Triforce Heroes. It's probably a different team entirely. Those people probably got put like on something maybe like Yoshi's Woolly World or Mario Maker development.
I feel like the R&D teams, or for any developers, actually like they just sort of like switch around, so to speak.
Right.
Like not that, like the
Well-
just, the smaller guys, because some people want to go into different positions, or some people want to try different things, and within companies.
Well,
you
it's
know,
it's
like,
a difference of careers. In America, a team, basically what I mean is that people are usually hired for through a company for a single job, and then once that job is done, they leave the company and they work for another company on a different project. While in Japan, what ends up happening is you work for a company like Nintendo, and you stay within that company and you develop games for them consistently. You may not be working on the same series every time, but you're always going to be working for Nintendo. And that's why you have this sort of changing of hands with each game. That's why you have this constant rotation of developers, because they find people that they like, that they want to keep in employment, and they make them work on several different projects. And it works better because you get a consistency in feel and design when you have a consistent group of people making all of your games.
Also, going back to what I said
Mm-hmm.
about there being probably separate teams for Wii U and 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a little fun fact that most people don't know. Um, Depending on what port of a console, like of a game you're playing for what console, it might not even have been developed by the company that actually made the game. Usually, certain companies actually license out other companies to do the porting job for them.
And sometimes they do it good, sometimes they do it bad.
Yeah, sometimes they're great, sometimes it's awful. Thanks, Ubisoft. But like for example, like Valve self-publishes all their games on PC, but when they're doing a console version, it's EA.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And most publishers and developers now are actually getting other studios to make last gen ports of games, which is why you're seeing some certain last gen versions of newer games either get delayed or canceled because they're just being done by completely different companies.
Twilight Princess HD is being done by an outside company. It's being done by a company that specializes in ports. It's not being done by Nintendo's in-house team.
Yeah.
And that's
I figure
common.
most like HD remakes for a lot of games are like that.
Not all.
Like
I think Wind Waker was done in-house.
Well, I mean, not just like Nintendo exclusively, but like if you go into like the HD remakes for a lot of like there's Sony titles like Jak and Daxter. Naughty Dog didn't do the HD releases. That was a totally different company that Naughty Dog sort of supervised. Nintendo will supervise these companies, but like they'll pretty much give like the reins over to the other guys to actually do the job for them. Same thing with I want to say like games like Gears of War for the Xbox. When they're trying to make sure that they're up to date with like the what is it, like the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, whatever that, like the new one. That's pretty much a remake of. It's not even a remake. It's just an HD texture update of the first one. That was the new version of like Epic Game Studios.
There was also that remake of Halo that was done a few years ago before Bungie stopped working on Halo, and that was done by 343.
Right.
That was their first game.
Right. You mentioned EA, and actually I read a few things this week that really interested me from EA. They were talking about their acquisition history. And
oh boy.
About how they kind of realized that they had a very bad history with acquisitions. They'd buy a company, it'd go bad, and then they'd close the studio completely.
Yeah.
And that was their history and they realized like we shouldn't keep doing this. We're doing a bad job. So hopefully Visceral is safe, because Visceral was next in line for the chopping block according to most people. And that was disappointing to me because at some point it has to be too little, too late, because they've been doing this for 20 years. Right. So. I mean, I'm hoping that the last victim was the Sims studio.
Yeah, wasn't that Maxis?
Yeah, Maxis. Yeah. Maxis was the last big one that they closed down. The other thing that they said was interesting was making games like Battlefield and Battlefront more esports competitive or viable, which is, it's good in some ways because it says that a company is willing to really invest, other than Microsoft, in esports. But it's bad because it's EA, and EA will somehow make this really bad.
Well, no,
I'm kidding.
My problem with this news is like trying to get Battlefield to do things that Battlefield is not all about. Like Hardline was awful.
But for a lot of reasons. For a lot
of reasons. I mean, gameplay was bad and all that stuff. But like the primary issue is that Hardline was just not a Battlefield game. There is no reason why it needed to be a big map Battlefield game. And there's no reason why Battlefield Hardline or 4 need to become more smaller and more competitive in esports than previous games. Like, there's no reason for it. Battlefield should just be, this may sound hipster-esque, but should literally be the thing that's in the title. It should just be a giant battlefield of dudes like firing guns at each other. Like, no one ever complained of balance in the earlier games because there was no such thing.
Right. And they try to fix problems that didn't exist.
And same thing with Battlefront. Like, Battlefront is again just it's literally just a giant battlefield of just Star Wars stuff. And probably one of my biggest issues with the newest Battlefront was the fact that it's so like chopped down and small. Like, that kind of misses the whole point.
Mhm.
I mean, when you look at the original Battlefront, not Battlefront 2, the one that everyone knows and loves, but the first Battlefront game, which was sort of the underdog of them, it sort of relates more to this new one than the second one. So, like, just because this is their first time, doing this type of thing with the series. So they're trying to do, I guess, smaller things that they can sort of control so that things don't get out of hand so that they don't mess up. So they're trying to get...
But that's dumb because when anyone thinks of Battlefront, they think of Battlefront 2, and there's no reason... And it's not like Battlefront 2 came out 5 years ago. It came out 10 years ago. There's no reason why a brand new 2015 Battlefront should be smaller in size and have less features than a game that came out 10 years ago. No, but like what I'm saying is like
they got to walk before they can run.
I think of it as...
And I think
it's DICE!
I honestly
they can
think
make a perfectly competent big Battlefield shooter. No.
What do you mean, no?
No, they should. If they say they're going to make a sequel to Battlefront and they have the capabilities to do so, they should do it. And if EA wants to make a smaller, more competitive focused shooting game, they have the Medal of Honor franchise. Like, sure, the last 2 games were terrible, but that's what Medal of Honor always was compared to Battlefield. Medal of Honor was their Call of Duty.
I just think that it's the same sort of issue that Sakurai had with the Smash Brothers community. He made Smash Brothers Melee, and he made these ideas that people seem to really cling on to. And then with Brawl, he tried to change some things, and he got a lot of backlash for it. So I think that they should have taken that as kind of an example and realized that once you make something that people like, you should try to stick to that. I mean, wasn't that the kind of part of the controversy with the Mario Ultra Smash tennis game? Smash game tennis Smash. Mario Strikers, but with rackets.
Did you know the original title for Melee? This is like completely different, but I was reading this earlier today. The Japanese title for Super Smash Bros. Melee is Great Melee Smash Bros. DX.
I love it. Why wasn't that the name? That I would.
It's so ludicrous. I love it.
No.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry.
Oh my god, it's everything that we need. But yeah, it's the Sakurai effect. You make something that's good, and then you try to change some things down the road, and you end up just pissing everyone off. I think that Battlefield Hardline was like their attempt to kind of be too much like Call of Duty, with a setting that really didn't fit that idea, and it burned them out in the end.
Especially when you read about how Hardline actually started as a kickstarted, like, completely separate, like, 6 versus 6 game called Police Warfare, and then EA bought the rights to it and then told Visceral to just make it into a Battlefield game. So
yeah,
it really was a completely different game. They just turned into Battlefield.
And it was two really good studios who were forced to kiss on a project that they really didn't want to do that on.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for your topic, Brendan, but let's move on to our next one. Hey guys, so as a Pokemon and Zelda fan, I've been thinking and came up with an interesting question. If Link was a Pokemon trainer, what would his team of 6 be? Let's exclude obvious things like Honedge, the Sword, and Epona, since that kind of takes all the fun out of this. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I know you guys can come up with some cool ideas. Thanks, guys. Ben from Michigan. P.S. Adam, if you can make a John Cena reference somewhere in the podcast, I will send you all the unicorns, rainbows, and happiness I can find. Thanks. Unicorns aren't real, so you get no reference.
This will be now my last episode if he puts that in.
Fun fact. Yeah. Adam sends us these before we do the podcast. I really wanted him to introduce me like you introduced John Cena. But he didn't.
And also you didn't say
that's
anything.
The real reason I was quiet.
Because unicorns aren't real. And I was just depressed about that. So it was kind of in spite of you. But thank you again, Ben from Michigan. Also, why you gotta take out Honedge, man? Just because it's 2 of the obvious ones
I wasn't even
doesn't mean that those aren't really good additions. And we also have 4 more.
Honedge and the Sword were not even on my mind when I thought of Link's Pokemon team.
For my first choice is Scyther.
Scyther.
Yeah.
Wrong. I choose Caesar.
All right. Why Scizor over Scyther?
Because Caesar's better than Scyther.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no, stats-wise,
but
his stats
but
are way
Green
better.
actually starts off the adventure with Scyther and then gets Caesar along the way, much like how you upgrade your Master Sword in a lot of the handheld games.
Oh,
You know-
get out of here, Adam. Get out with your,
You
with
know-
your
you
references.
Link, Link the boy. He
Linkle.
goes through many different dungeons that go through many different themes of based on different elements. I imagine his team of 6 would be literally every evolution of Eevee. So that way he'd have a Pokemon for every situation.
Nice.
There you go. Bada bing. Put that right in the oven. Maron, Mamma Mia, spicy meatball,
Mamma mia, Papa Pia.
Papa John's.
Well, I was gonna say, I was like, this is the moment my life has been leading towards on this podcast, because I probably know all the Pokemon at this point. Let's see, for Link, I want to give him a starter Pokemon, so I'd probably say he
Bulbasaur,
should have-
Because Vine Whip is like grappling hooks. Yep.
The Fox one from X and Y.
No. We don't talk about those games. Not here. Not ever.
Why?
I think a Bulbasaur could work. I'll buy that.
Yay.
He should have a Bulbasaur. He should have a Celebi.
Obviously.
He
would
most
have-
certainly should not have a Celebi.
Why not? Fairy.
Yes, he should.
Fairy
No,
fairy
because-
type. It's like it's lit.
It's a little fairy from the forest, and it travels
Give
through
him-
time. Are you
give-
kidding me?
All right,
It's like the
of all,
first one you think of.
So he gets a legendary. He's OP as
It's Link.
It's Celebi. It's not that powerful.
Have
It's
you
just
ever
there.
EV trained a Celebi?
No,
I
because it's
didn't
not
think
worth
so.
it. It's not worth it.
Oh,
That's why.
You don't know.
why I
Actually, it
wouldn't
is
bother.
worth it. Have you
No,
looked?
it's not.
Oh my god, Jeff! I spent 4 years of my life playing Pokemon, EV training every Pokemon I ever received.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it, my friend. I'm sorry.
I can guarantee you. I can tell you 10 reasons why you're wrong.
I'm going to figure out the other members of Link's team. I've seen people suggest. I think I've seen people suggest that he should have a Braviary. I don't know how I feel about that one. Not a huge fan. I like it because of the Loftwing reference, so I guess that's okay.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
I think he should have a Gardevoir.
Nah.
No, I think it would
I just don't like
I
Gardevoir.
think no, a Galad. I think a Galad would be better because of the swordsman. Yeah, so those ones, I need some other thoughts, other suggestions. Like I can think of the Pokemon, but I'm choosing from over 700 here, so I need throw out words that describe Link and
Quiet.
those he works
Brave.
with. Quiet.
Naive.
Quiet what? Naive.
Easily bossed around.
I'm gonna say he should have an Eevee. So we got Eevee, Celebi, Braviary, Gardevoir or Galad,
and
interchangeable.
Beedrill.
The Bulbasaur, which I'm not. No, not. Come on, Adam. And I'm gonna say the last one should be. I'm tempted to say legendary, but I don't think I should.
Growlithe. Because it's big and he can ride it.
I'm gonna say Arcanine. Because of
Wait,
bigger
no. What's the cow one?
Milk Tank.
Yeah, Miltank. Because milk.
Why?
Because
'Cause
then he
milk.
never has to go out and get. He never has to go to the milk bar because he has one. He has a supply with him at all times.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, but still, I don't know. It feels kind of. Okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. We're good. We're good. Okay, so we got Celebi, Milk Tank, Braviary, Gardevoir or Galad, Eevee, and I know you said Bulbasaur, but I'm just not feeling Bulbasaur. I'm sorry.
How dare you, Jeff?
I'm
Or-
sorry. I'm not feeling Bulbasaur.
Chespin? Chikorita.
No. I've been
No?
wanting to say Donphan, but I can't find a good reason for that besides for that it's one of my favorite Pokemon. Maybe a Phanpy. That'd be cute. But let's see. I'm just gonna say Aegislash. Because he said no Honedge, so I'm just gonna beat that guy and just go with one of its evolutions.
It has the shield.
It does have the shield.
So
It has
that's
the shield
more
and
Link
sword.
than the other one. So there you go. Zelda
I
Informer
feel like there's a
Podcast.
hero Pokemon. Is there not a hero Pokemon?
I don't know. We're moving
Great
on.
God.
We're moving on. We're done. Thank you, Ben from Michigan. This is a topic that Chris is particularly interested in, so let's get to this one. Hi from Australia. Hello, mate. Nintendo needs to sell more home...
jeez, Adam,
Ah.
come on.
Had to.
Luke's not even on.
That's
this
why
week.
I had
Come on,
to
man.
for him. He understands.
Terrible.
Luke's out there. He's listening.
Terrible.
Love you, babe.
Koalas, giant spiders, Vegemite.
Yeah.
All right, we got our quota in. Let's go.
Nintendo needs to sell more home consoles in the future. Do you think a Zelda pack, it could be digital only for the NX release, with Zelda U on it, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, and the demo of an entirely new Zelda game for the NX, could be released within the first 12 months of the NX's lifespan, would bring back gamers to Nintendo? Remember the Zelda pack for GameCube. Thanks for the podcast, guys, and you should all go and buy Adam a Wii U. Sincerely, Eli. Thank you, Eli, but no one has the money to buy me a Wii U, not even me.
Yeah, I was going to say, the reason why I chose this topic as one of my favorites is because who the heck is going to buy Adam a Wii U? That is not the reason.
With what money?
Yeah, exactly.
I like how he says, remember the Zelda pack for GameCube, like Nintendo's second worst selling console.
Remember how that idea went over well?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that having this...
I think if you included a couple grains of sand of the Lost Ark of the Covenant, it still wouldn't sell some like Nintendo
Yeah, I don't
systems.
think the
Or
Zelda
the
pack
actual
would sell
Ark of the
console.
Covenant.
Yeah, I think
That's a very
first
very
off,
expensive package.
for them to release literally like
Wind Waker HD.
like 2 HD remakes, a game for a previous console, and a demo for an actual new game for the
That's
system
like
you just
killing
bought.
all of their
I-
sales for the next 5
yeah.
years. Like, those games... Wind Waker HD still makes the money. Twilight Princess HD will make the money for years to come. Zelda U will make
Yeah.
the money for years to come. And a demo, like, that would be... not only would that be a lot, the amount of time it would take to package all of that, and the amount of time it would take to make a demo for a new game, we'd be seeing Zelda U in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and you do bring up a good point. You know, there was the Zelda pack for GameCube, but it didn't sell as well as it could have. It wasn't as good of an idea it didn't perform well, so I doubt they're going to go with it again.
No one bought the GameCube because of the Zelda
They
pack.
bought it for Smash
and
Bros.
On that note, no one bought the GameCube anyway. In fact, I think I just read recently that the PS4 is now selling 30 million units. So already the PS4 is about to sell more than the GameCube did. So there you go.
I mean, I just feel like Nintendo knows that they don't even need these game packs. Like, they're about to sell the Wii U with both Splatoon and Smash Brothers in it. So, I mean, I feel like that would even sell more than, like, a Nintendo pack. Or not a Nintendo, a Zelda pack. Just because they're offering 2 games from the current console. And probably some of the 2 most popular games out there right now. You know, you don't want to sell a new console with last-gen titles on it, necessarily. You want to sell a new console with current-gen titles, and maybe, like, the biggest of them. So, that's just my opinion on that.
I know we were talking about this earlier, but I think if Nintendo really wants to sell a new system, they need to get the AAAs. They need to get the third party back. That's really what it comes down to.
But do you think they
and I appreciate
can
what
in the next
everyone-
couple of years? I mean, we've talked about it.
No, I think their first parties work. It's just they need decent first parties to do it. Something like I felt like Smash Brothers did. I felt like Mario Kart 8. That's what I got my Wii with Mario Kart 8 because I knew that's
But
what
it doesn't.
I wanted.
It doesn't sell the system. That's the thing.
No, I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like it sold the system.
The thing that people
It sells the system, but not as much as the general public.
Right. People will buy an Xbox One or a PS4 knowing that most of the games that they're going to get on there, they can get on the other system. People don't buy a Wii U because they know that while they get a lot of exclusives, they don't get most of the stuff that other systems get.
Yeah.
It's you get locked into exclusives, which is a really bad thing to have, which is why PC gaming has exploded over the past couple of years, because you get almost all exclusives from all systems, as well as the entire wealth of gaming history available on your one device. It's very convenient for people. People are drawn to that.
I mean,
And that's
there's
not
the
just because of
rumors and
Steam, because we've looked at reports. People still buy physical CDs for their computer games. It's more people buy physical CDs for their computer games than they buy actually digital download versions of games on Steam.
I find that interesting because like you don't get the Steam thing, so like why do that? I mean I
you
buy
can
physical copies
register
all the
your
time,
games for Steam if you have the physical copy. They do honor that
Yeah.
digital download like agreement, because that's part of their agreement with companies. As long as you have the code that's usually
I thought
included in
you
the
just
box.
need the disc.
Well, you just
Oh, I think you need to insert the disc to be able to play it.
no, if you
No.
have the
This is not
I think if you
2004.
have the registration key, it works just fine. But yeah, a lot of people just have a physical version of the game that they usually play on their computers. I mean, it's rare. It's not unheard of, but it's rare to be like what me and I think Colin does, which is to have a lot of the games that you play on Steam digitally. It's not that
Yeah. It's
common.
I mean, there's always the rumors and speculation that the NX is like super powerful, and third parties are already like, ooh, I can't wait to develop on
But
that.
then we got the same thing about the
Um,
PS3, and then developers drop like flies.
Yeah, it what it really comes down to is
That wasn't a slam at Sony, by the way.
if-
That was just
if-
fact.
oh, can't upset Sony.
Just gotta say
Um,
that.
Yeah, but what it comes down to is what it always comes down to. Nintendo can't really like sell off of Nintendo anymore. They kind of need the third parties at this
Right,
point.
but the
Not to say that I mean if the NX continues to be just another
That's
Nintendo
fine.
system that only releases exclusives, whatever,
That's fine by me,
I'll still
yeah.
buy it because it's good
Right.
games. But to say that
if they want to
like,
if they want to grow instead of stay middle grounded, they really do need to get that third party support. And part of it is just
Yeah.
getting developers interested in using what they have or comfortable with it, because the Wii U was a very cool device. Like there was a lot of capabilities with it, but no one jumped on it.
Yeah, well, because the issue with the Wii U was that most people just saw it as like, oh, Nintendo now has a system that's like marginally more powerful than the 360. Let's just bring over all our 360 games. And it's a very
wasn't
different
a- it
story.
wasn't
the Wii U is much more powerful than the 360 or the PS3,
Right.
but most developers weren't interested
was-
in that. So most of them just put
It
out
was
hack job
it was
ports
poorly marketed
and-
across the board to consumers and developers. That's
Yeah.
the general consensus. People that know
I mean, there was
the story
a,
know that it was just poorly done as like a
a great example is Rebellion did a port of Sniper Elite V2 on the Wii U.
I remember that.
Which was, by the time this port had come out, the game was already like a year and a half old,
hmm
and they were charging $50 for just a single player. None of the DLC included, not even the multiplayer or the co-op included. It was just a single player for $50.
Batman Arkham what was it? Arkham Knight? Asylum?
There's Asylum.
Released on the Wii U, and it had an extra mode added along with all the DLC. That was smart.
Yeah,
And
which-
it sold copies.
There you go. That's
It
fine.
sold copies. It didn't
Black Ops 2 on the Wii U made really great like use of the gamepad. It was probably the best console port of that game.
I like the gamepad a lot. I think it's
Yeah.
and I think that at the same time a lot of developers were also scared that, people they'd have to use the screen for something. So I don't know. It's hopefully the NX will be a little bit more streamlined for developers, that they'll be interested in just making those games available on the Wii U. And we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of Kickstarters lately have added Wii U as an initial port goal as opposed to a later on goal, because a lot of the time it used to be that like if we get to 2 million or 200,000, we'll make a Wii U port, and the PS4 and Xbox One versions were the first thing that were added as soon as they started hitting stretch goals. But that normal is kind of changing, and Nintendo has been kind of working on it, or trying to work on being more open with other developers, trying to be more open with third parties. That's why you see Donkey Kong and Bowser in that Spyro Racing game.
And to answer your question once again, I don't think a bundle of a brand new system with 2 remasters of GameCube games and a backwards compatible Wii U game would probably make do very well.
Right. I want to do one mention really quick. And then we're going to get to our last fan topic. This comes from a fan named Tetrabell. Hey guys, really love your show. I've gone back and listened to almost 30 episodes. I'm so sorry. Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda game because it was the game I learned to play video games on. My dad would show me how to do a mission, then turn back time so I could do it myself. In episode 33, you guys briefly discussed the Zelda musical. I'm very surprised that I haven't heard you guys talk about the Majora's Mask musical being written by M. Bultu. Check out a site or on YouTube. He also recently did an arrangement for Undertale. Thanks for making my days much more enjoyable. Tetrabell. Correction.
He did an arrangement for Undertale?
Yes, he did. He didn't make it. He's not working on a Zelda musical. He's working on a Majora's Mask opera. So that's why we didn't talk about it, because it's a totally different genre. Snap. I'm just kidding. I didn't know about it at the time, and I tried looking at his site, but it is horribly coded, and I can't get through anything. But I'll put a link down below for his YouTube for those of you that are interested. It sounds like a really interesting idea. I remember there was a guy who was trying to make a Nightmare Before Christmas musical years ago. I think it's the same guy who did the Sweeney Todd musical, but I hated it for a lot of reasons. But thank you for the email, and thank you to everyone else who sent us in just regular email saying hello or just asking a question. And if you have any of your own, feel free to send this to us at zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's zeldainformerpodcast@gmail.com. Yes, Colin, I said it again twice. If you you can feel free to send us topics, theme song submissions, cover art, or anything, as long as it's just something that has to do with the podcast. But let's get into our last fan topic for this week. It comes from a frequent questioner named Michael. Hey, Zelda Informer Podcast. Did you see how Nintendo made Star Fox Zero look good since E3? My question is,
yes.
How much better do you think Twilight Princess HD will improve in 4 months? A lot of people don't like it, but I like it a lot. I wouldn't mind buying it the way it is right now. What are you guys' opinions on it? And what do you think they can do to make some people stop hating on Twilight Princess HD? Keep up the good work, Michael. Thank you again, Michael. Yeah, no, I was incredibly surprised with how Star Fox Zero HD, or Star Fox Zero looked.
Star Fox Zero HD, they haven't even came out with the original
It looked like
yet.
an HD update, because I remember when we were at E3, Jeff, you might remember this, we were talking to Colin about how the textures for that game, when you flew in close, they looked really, really compressed.
What, for Star Fox?
Yeah, they were very blurry. Like, if you got close to the ground and stuff, you could see how poor the textures were, because it used to be, it was originally a game that was made for the Wii. And then
Star Fox is looking a lot better now.
Oh, it looks fantastic now.
That was, two things that came out from that during the direct were, one, it looks a lot better, and two, they're waiting until April. Like, it's one thing to say you're going to push it so it's no longer an end of the year release. There's a whole other thing to say we're going to wait for almost 5 months into next year. And I think that's really smart.
Right. Not only that, but they did convince me on Raptor mode a little bit. Because I remember at E3, the common complaint was, I don't see the point of Raptor mode. And now they've shown off some levels that seem to better highlight why that new transformation for the Star Fox's R-Wing actually matters. And the new tank and its transformation really remind me of old Star Wars flying dogfight games where you could.
It reminds me a lot of what Star Fox 2 was going to be.
What do you mean?
Because if you remember, I don't know if you've ever actually seen footage of Star Fox 2 or played the leaked ROM.
I did not play the leaked ROM.
But that game was all about the R-Wing turning into land transport vehicles and being able to run around and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
I didn't know that.
Very similar to how this game does.
Oh yeah, it had the same Raptor mode.
Yeah.
Looked a little different, but it was the same idea.
It makes me wonder with Nintendo, again getting off topic.
That's
sorry,
fine.
But with Nintendo releasing super rare games on the Virtual Console and even unreleased games now with Earthbound Beginnings, I wonder if they will actually take their ROM of Star Fox 2, which was finished, and actually put it on the VC for Star Fox Zero.
Call it Star Fox. Can't
just call it Star Fox 2, and just.
Or they could give it a weird, cool code name, like Star Fox Canceled Mission or Star Fox The Secret Files or something like that.
No, because I imagine it'd just be the ROM.
Files.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out names right now.
Listen, buddy.
Because they called
Earthbound Beginnings, Mother 1.
They called it
Yeah.
Earthbound Beginnings, but if you play the ROM, it just says
It's
Earthbound.
Earthbound 1, but it's also called Mother 0 by some people, even though it like
Yeah.
Mother 2, Earthbound absorbed the franchise, which is kind of hilarious and sad. So yeah, I could definitely see them changing the name, but maybe they'll just release it as Star Fox 2. I don't know.
But no, the game looks definitely better. That's how development usually goes. I mean, I have seen I have seen a few comparison videos between the new Twilight Princess HD and the original one for the Wii, and there are certain things that do look better. Like Link's model is cleaned up a hell of a lot. It seems to be mostly environment things that don't seem
Up to par.
they either they either seem upscaled improperly, or they just seem like they're just using some older placeholder.
People that played Wind Waker HD know how much an HD remake should improve.
But at the same time, Wind Waker had the nice the whole thing of the fact that all the textures in that game were very simple.
Right.
They were just mostly one color.
Right, but if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all.
Some detail here and there. The problem with Twilight Princess is, I imagine, it's probably
it was a
little
game that
more
was designed to be
in-depth
the most
with
like
that.
visually interesting and beautiful and like dark Zelda game in ever. Like it was supposed to be.
I'm sure by the time it releases, most of those environment textures will be cleaned up and looking pretty damn good.
Hopefully, and maybe they'll get rid of that weird yellowish
so
glow.
far my only issue with the new Twilight Princess HD remake for me is the fact that like they put like this weird like daytime HDR bloom effect,
which they tend to
on
do
it.
with their remakes.
That makes it look,
it looks everything looks
Yeah,
yellowy
but
and weird, gross.
but the problem here is that it makes it look like the game is so much brighter and colorful, which that was not.
It was
the whole
supposed to
point
be
of...
gray and very morbid.
Yeah, no,
which
it's-
is cool.
I feel like that
Adds
was,
the
Twilight
I feel like that was
Princess
one
is
of the
the grimdark game.
unintended side effects. Like, it's weird when you're in the Twilight realm and everything's like all blurry and dark and gray, and like the part of the benefit of the original release was like it kind of made it okay that the graphics weren't like
right up to
you know,
par.
the
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
the top of the top. They were good for the time, but not the top of the top. Now it's kind of like they've made it clearer, and it's like not sure if it's serving the
We're
same
we're
purpose
seeing the
as well.
flaws as opposed to seeing improvements. Like it's not. It only
Right.
serves to hurt the game's aesthetic by doing what they've done so far.
Right, and I think the best way to say it is Colin over from Gamnesia, he mentioned this in one of our chats, was the original Twilight Princess looked a lot good for 2006 than Twilight Princess HD does for 2016.
Jeff, I think you mean it looked a lot well. Thank you.
What did I say?
You said a lot good, but also a lot well doesn't
Did
work.
I say a lot good?
Yeah, and I said a lot well. Both of those don't work.
Huh.
Either way, I want my
Yeah, a lot
I want
better
my
is the right
grimdark
one.
Zelda to be grimdark, which is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, that's the idea. I mean,
So,
they call
there
it the
you go.
frickin'
I mean-
Twilight Realm. If that isn't the most
Yeah.
grimdark thing I have heard in a Zelda game, I don't know what is.
He turns into a
Yeah.
wolf. I'm sure they
Calm
will.
down, Lovecraft.
I'm sure they'll clean it up
Mhm.
and make it look nicer. Because as people pointed out, you can get HD texture packs for the Dolphin emulator, and it looks better. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what else they're planning on adding to it because we know that it's got we know that it works with the amiibo. I'm very curious about what it will do. But it sounds like they've got some other things in mind too, because they did
here's
make
something
that mention.
I did not bring this up last week, and I totally forgot to because I'm a dummy some.
What a dumb
but-
dumb.
Yeah, but I forgot to ask this because I didn't pay attention and I have not rewatched the trailer. Is Link left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Yeah, it's that
Okay,
version.
so does that mean it will actually be compatible with the Wiimote?
I would assume so.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks. I wish they would have kept the left-handed aspect and brought it back, but I guess not.
Yeah, but
So
at
which
the same
begs
time,
the question is, which I forgot to, because I still don't even
it'd be
remember
weird
this.
though if it was left-handed because now you can actually play with a controller, but they had
I-
Wiimote support and they would just flip over to
I
right-handed.
I
feel
just
like
wish they
there's a
dropped the Wiimote
decent
support.
chance that they'll make it reversible.
Maybe.
I feel like
Is,
that's
'Cause
like.
I imagine there's enough
Is
like
Wii-
space on the Blu-ray.
I mean,
is,
like,
actually.
well, look at it. You're talking about like a game that doesn't look that impressive. They've got to put it into somewhere. The work
Yeah.
into somewhere. So I'm thinking that's a possibility, especially since like that was such a big issue when that game came out because it has the flipped world.
Is Wii U Link left-handed or right-handed?
Oh, we'd have to check when he draws his bow, in the trailer.
I think someone mentioned that he's right-handed in the trailer.
I want to say,
But I mean,
yeah, he
I
should.
think he's right-handed in the
his
VGA
bow-
demo.
His bow. Sorry, there's a name for like the one that the hand.
The
that
hand
you
that's
use.
pulling the arrow or holding the arrow.
Yes, and
as
I'm
well.
pretty sure he was right-handed in that.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah. What?
he's right-handed in the gameplay
Yeah,
demo.
was anybody else surprised that the Zelda U footage looked like the footage that we saw last year? I mean, I've been expecting like a total visual overhaul with the delay.
I expected a lot of changes, especially with how much of a delay. They're like, it wasn't even a question of, oh, we're gonna change a few things, or they said we're changing everything.
They didn't say that.
Well, they said that we completely rethought ideas, and we're gonna change a bunch of things.
Right, and I mean,
They said that they're-
I'm still sticking with my guns that they're part of the reason it's delayed is because they're like, you know what, let's develop this for the NX at the same time.
Maybe. I mean,
That's where I'm sticking.
if
what I'm
that's
sticking
the
with.
only thing that, if that's the only reason why they're delaying it, I'd be horribly disappointed. Just because that seems like a lot of waiting for nothing.
I mean, I don't think so. If the next system, whatever it is, does happen to be more capable of certain aspects over others, it would be nice to make sure that the next Zelda game really has that going for it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be extremely disappointing though, just because it'd be that would make the Wii U the first Nintendo console to not have an original Zelda game on it.
Right.
Even if it does get Zelda U and it's launched like simultaneously on the NX, it's still like the GameCube even got 2.
Mm-hmm. But if you guys want a in-depth analysis of the Twilight Princess HD footage, friends over at GameXplain actually did a video on it, which you can check out down below. If you want to see how you can pre-order Twilight Princess HD, you can also check the link dump down below on ZeldaInformer.com. And I guess that's about it for this week's episode. I think we're reaching about that time. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about before we headed out?
No.
Linkle's neat. Be happy about it.
Oh,
People are happy about it.
Linkle's great. I love Linkle. She's not female Link. She's a great character, and she's interesting.
Wait,
enough.
wait,
Crossbows.
Also, she's
Wait,
not
Adam.
designed by Nintendo. She's designed by another company entirely, so she's not even canon. Anyway,
Okay, hold on. Here's the thing. I read somewhere that it was designed as Sister Link,
Yeah.
as like a sister like, but it's not sister. Like it is sort of female version. And I read that from multiple websites.
there's
From,
nothing
like,
says
big websites.
nothing is claiming that to be true.
Well, there's nothing claiming
When she
against
was
it
when she
either.
was developed, it said on the sheet that it was Link's sister.
Yeah, but like from every other thing that I've seen, it's like there's not saying that she is the sister or that she is. So it's, like,
I
not
mean,
even
you're going
confirmed.
based off speculation, and I'm going based off of actual information from the developers' reference
Well, I
sheet.
mean, this
Listen,
they.
here's
I
the
mean, if
bottom
they
line.
released it
if
to
you
like.
if you like Linkle, you play
Yeah.
as Linkle. If you don't, there's like 39
I'm not saying I
million
don't
other
like it. It's just
characters
I don't want people to
in
say, "Hey, we're
Hyrule
wrong."
Warriors that
Well,
you can,
I'm saying we're not
ignore.
wrong, nor are we right.
you can play as the king in Hyrule Warriors.
You can play as the boat,
My life.
which is the one thing that I remember asking for the most. That you can switch between his regular form and the boat form. But anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I feel like I was going to say something else. I probably forgot. Whatever. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so leave your comments down below. And next week, we're going to be recording a little bit early because of the Thanksgiving break. So if you have any topics, feel free to send those in advance. ZeldaInformerPodcast@gmail.com, or you can check us out on Twitter. Follow us there, see more about the podcast, or if you're interested, you can watch me stream art. Sometimes I'm working on podcast banners, sometimes I'm working on other things. You can find that over at picardo.tv/Milkman Art Delivery, or check down below and follow it. You'll get an email alert anytime I'm streaming. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Wii U. Happy birthday, Wii U.
Shut up, Jeff.
It's the Wii U's birthday today.
Watch out! Mama,